This will change how you think about single family. Look, I know what you've been told. Buying a single family house, you rehab it, you rent it out, you then refi and you repeat, right? You just stack them up one at a time until you have 10, 20, 40, 50 doors, and eventually you'll be financially free. And I believe that same strategy. I bought my first rental in 2015. I bought it for $29,000 using private money. It was a little 3-bedroom, 1-bath property. I rehabbed it, I got it refied, and I just ran the traditional BRRRR script. And it worked. I was proud of it, and I think I should have been proud of it. I mean, it was a real step. It made me a bona fide real estate investor. I was even interviewed on Bigger Pockets several years later about that strategy and how I bought 18 houses in 18 months using that exact approach. But here's what nobody told me. Every single family house that I added ended up making my life harder, not easier. So every time I bought one, I got another roof, I got another mortgage, I got another insurance premium, and more maintenance calls. So really more of everything, and they were spread out all over 3 counties in my area in central Arkansas where I live. It took me way too long to figure out that vehicle that I was using to build wealth was actually keeping me stuck. Today, I'm gonna walk you through the 10 important lessons and kind of comparisons between single family and multifamily investing, and why multifamily is the better asset for achieving your financial goals. And by the end of this, you're gonna see the game completely differently. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Paul Thompson. I'm the owner and CEO of Real Estate 101. So I spent 15 years climbing the ladder in corporate America before I made the jump into being a real estate investor full-time. And today I help everyday investors scale from single family rentals into the multifamily game and other types of commercial assets without relying on banks. So I call my strategy the bankless deal architecture, and everything that I teach is built on targeting mom and pop property owners, structuring cleverly structured creative financing offers, and then scaling your portfolio with fewer, bigger deals, no banks required. So let's get into it. Let's start with comparison number 1, which is income and cash flow. So first up, the whole point of buying real estate as a new investor is to create cash flow. Like, it has to cash flow or none of it makes sense. With a single family rental, you get one rental check, one income stream, and either your tenant pays or they don't. With multifamily, you get multiple rent checks with just one roof, covered by just one loan, and only one insurance premium. Now, here's the part that should make you a little bit uncomfortable with single family properties. When you have a single family property and one tenant moves out, you just lost 100% of your income on that one property. Now, you're paying the mortgage out of pocket until you fill that property. Whereas, let's say on a 10-unit property, if just one tenant leaves, you've still got 90% occupancy. That property still cash flows. And so you can still sleep at night. You can comfortably pay your mortgage because you have other sources of income, and all your management is in one place. Makes things easier. So when it comes to income and creating cash flow, I give the nod to multifamily as having the advantage. Now let's go to comparison number 2, which is the valuation of these properties. And this is the one that really changed everything for me, and I think it will for you too. So you see, single family homes are valued by using comps or comparative market analysis. How much did a similar property sell for nearby? It sold recently, it's a very similar thing. Like, what's the market rate for that kind of thing? Your neighbor's house down the street then controls the amount of equity that you have in your property. So you could put 50 grand of renovations into the property and still be stuck on whatever the market says that value is of the property because of what other people paid for it. Now, with multifamily, the value is determined based on the income that property generates. So the formula is really very simple, and it's all based on a thing called the net operating income. Think of it as the net income of the property. And you can calculate this by the rents minus the operating expenses. The money collected from tenants, from rents, minus your property taxes, your insurance premiums, maintenance costs, property management fees, and any sort of utilities you have to pay. So any expense required to operate the property, that's called the net operating income, the net result of the rents and the operating expenses. That means that if you raise rents by $50 a unit across these 10 units, that's $6,000 more per year NOI. And that can lead to a valuation increase of $85,000 more. So just by increasing rents by 50 bucks, you can add almost 100 grand in value to your property. So with multifamily, you have more control over what your property is based on how effectively you operate that property. And that is why so many commercial investors look for what they call value add opportunities. You can take a property that's not been run well, you can improve it by making some repairs, improve the management, and increasing the NOI. And when you do that, you can create hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in equity to your net worth. And you can do that all with just one property. So when it comes to valuation, I definitely give the advantage to multifamily because you can create so much wealth with just one transaction. Now let's move on to comparison of the financing for these properties. So here's where a lot of people get tripped up. With commercial assets, which are considered 5 units and up, 5+ units is considered commercial, you use a different set of loan products. Many of us who are investors are familiar with using conventional loans to buy a single family house. You can do the same thing to buy rental properties. That loan product only applies to the 1 to 4 properties. So if it's 1 unit to 4 units, it's considered residential. And these loans look at your income and your debt to income ratio of you, not so much of the property. But with commercial loans and similar loan products, they're much more interested in the income the property produces. So lenders underwrite the deal's income, not just your personal W-2 and how much money you make. And of course, you still have to be a credit-worthy borrower, but the value of the property is based on the property itself and how it performs, not on how much you make at your job. Now, here's where the real unlock starts. Seller financing can also be used in commercial properties. So in fact, many mom and pop owners who've held their 10 to 20 unit property for 10, 20, 30 years sometimes, they often prefer monthly payments over getting a lump sum. This can actually help them save a ton in taxes. And I've had sellers actually tell me, I will not consider your cash out offer. I only want a financing offer where you can save me a bunch in taxes. And so that's good news here because the same creative financing strategies that maybe you've learned in single family now also applies to commercial properties. Plus, there are a much larger variety of traditional bank financing options when you're buying commercial properties. You're not restricted to just the residential conventional type loans. So between these two different asset classes, I would say they're pretty similar as far as which one's better or worse. Overall, I would give a slight nod to commercial, but only just a smidge. Now, comparison number 4, which is the risk. So many people think that single family is safer because I get it. The transactions are smaller, they feel more manageable. You can kind of get your head around the fact that you're going to buy this thing that you understand, but all your risk is concentrated on one tenant, one property, one marketplace. And so if that tenant stops paying, then suddenly that property and your income is at zero. And so if the roof goes out, the whole deal could be upside down for I don't know how many years. Whereas with multifamily, the risk is distributed. One bad tenant doesn't kill the deal. So one vacancy doesn't wipe out all your cash flow, and you've still got 7, 8, 9 other units producing income while you handle whatever problem that you're dealing with. And when you own real estate, there will be problems. So I like having that risk distributed over a variety of income sources. And just like single family, with multifamily, you underwrite the deal to make sure the property can cash flow from day one. So I actually prefer buying 10 or 20 unit properties at once than trying to underwrite and manage 10 to 20 separate single family rentals. That ends up being much harder to manage, which actually creates its own type of risk. So when it comes to risk, I personally give the multifamily a huge advantage here. Now, let's go to comparison on the scalability of these assets. This is where multifamily kind of has an obvious win here. To grow your portfolio with single family, which I certainly have done, I got my property up to 40 units at one point. You need to constantly be on the hunt for another deal. And then you apply for another loan, you get another insurance policy, you manage yet another property that's further away from your other ones. And so everything about a distributed single family portfolio makes scaling more difficult. Now with multifamily, buying a, 10 unit property gives you 10 doors in one transaction. And so that property has one loan, one insurance policy, but you get 10 different rent checks. So your portfolio grows much faster and you experience a kind of economies of scale instead of just tacking on one property at a time in a linear basis. Not to mention the time it takes to find and acquire that many individual deals is really a cost that you should consider. Whereas with multifamily, you can only be one deal away from absolute financial freedom. So one 50 unit deal that you found to be a really good deal could be your off ramp from your job or early retirement. And so what happens is the time cost per door ends up dropping dramatically when you go to multifamily. And time is the one thing you can't get back. So scalability is definitely a win for multifamily. Now, moving on to comparison number 6, which is tenant dynamics. This is where single family does have some benefits here. So what is it like dealing with tenants? Are there differences between tenants in single family and multifamily? And yes, of course there are. Single family tenants on average stay longer than multifamily tenants, and tenants in multifamily on average turn over more often. It's just a more transient style of living. Also, when you have 10 or 20 tenants in one facility, you will no doubt inevitably have to deal with the tenant interactions because they're just living right on top of each other. So you can get roped into all sorts of complaints about noise and drama between tenants and all that stuff because they all look to you as this source of authority. Whether you're the landlord or the property manager, you're the problem solver. With single family, the tenants aren't aware of each other because the properties are all spread out. So you have less drama when it comes to that. Now, having both types of properties, I find that really any kind of tenant can be high maintenance. I've also noticed that the turnover costs in multifamily tend to be way less than they are in single family. With multifamily, you're inside the units more often because you're managing it more closely. It's just easier to keep your eye on things because they're all in one place. And the tenants kind of police each other. They watch one another and they'll complain or tattletale on each other. They'll even report issues about what's happening, like smells or water leaks, etc. So I'll get the slight nod to single family on this one because tenants tend to stay for so long and that reduces your turnover costs. I would just suggest doing routine maintenance and inspections so conditions at those single family properties don't go undiscovered. That's a big trick. It's really easy to skip over the single family inspections because it takes so long to simply drive around and get to all these various units. Comparison number 7, the expense and maintenance. So your per unit expenses for single family tend to be about the same. It's more common for owner landlords to pay for some or all the utilities when you're dealing with multifamily. So we almost always do a utility bill back system, but that is something you have to set up and manage. So there's a little more complexity there. Now, I find that the maintenance to be so much easier with multifamily because they're all in one place. The same parts are used throughout the apartment complex because it's all built at the same time. The layouts tend to be very similar. Whereas with single family, every single property is a unique individual property, and so each one has its own nuance. Also, in multifamily, shared infrastructure costs can spread across multiple income producing units, so cost per unit for maintenance goes down at scale. But in much larger complexes like 50 units or higher, you start getting some extra expenses like taking care of the common areas and providing amenities like pools and playgrounds and rec centers, etc. I just prefer dealing with multifamily because any surprise repairs that come up can be absorbed across all the units, whereas on a single family deal, one big repair like a roof or a water line can be financially devastating and you may not be able to recover from it. In either case, when you own properties, you should always keep a repairs and maintenance fund to set aside for expenses, because if not, it's when you'll get a big surprise repair and it's a big ticket item and you don't have the money for it. So I suggest keeping a 5 to 10% of every rent check that comes in and actually moving those funds into a separate bank account just for these situations. Now, there's just something that happens to you when you see money piling up in a bank account and you just behave differently. You start acting like you have money, and when really some of that should have been held back for reserves. So in this case, I will give the nod or the benefit, the win here to multifamily because expense and maintenance is easier with those properties. Now let's move on to comparison number 8, which is management. And this is where things really change. Single family sometimes feels easier to manage, and when you have just 1 or 2 properties, it probably is because you just have less units, but it doesn't scale. At 10 single family rentals, you've got 10 different tenants calling you about all these different things. Also, a lot of professional property managers don't take single family investors on, and they don't take them as seriously because there's just not enough portfolio size to justify their time. The fees just don't justify to work with them. Now, when you switch to multifamily, that changes the equation entirely. You can have one manager with one location and you have one set of systems. You can actually build a process around it. And with commercial assets, I found you can find much more professional grade property managers. Now, of course, there are good single family property managers out there, but I find that they're really hard to find. Whereas with multifamily, professional grade property managers are kind of what you would expect to find. I have just found from my experience that single family just keeps you stuck in what I think of as operator mode, whereas multifamily lets you step into more of the owner mode, and that's where freedom actually lives. That's the whole reason we're doing this. Now, moving on to comparison number 9 is the exit strategy. And I find this comparison to be a bit of a mix on which one is better. So with single family, for some of your rentals, you can sell them to owner occupants and you can sell based on the comps, and that could get you a higher price on some properties if they're in good neighborhoods. So I'm actually in the middle of doing this right now. I'm divesting my own single family portfolio. So I'm selling them off one at a time, but I'm waiting for a tenant to move out. They end their lease, they decide they're going to leave, and then I just don't release it. So I go and I fix it up and then I sell it on the MLS so I get the highest and best price for that given property. But it's taking me forever to do this. So overall, it will probably take me 5 total years, maybe longer, to complete that process of selling off 40 single family properties where I'm getting the most I possibly can for it. So I consider that to be a detractor. I can't get rid of these things very quickly. So another perk with single family is you have a lot more exit strategies to choose from. You could do what I'm doing, which is selling to owner occupants, having the property vacated and fixed up and selling to the highest and best buyer on the MLS. You could also just keep the property occupied and sell it to landlords. Or you could sell each of these properties using owner financing. You could sell them as a lease option. You can sell them as a land contract where you retain title, but the buyer pays everything off later on. You just have lots of options. With multifamily, you're really only going to sell to other investors. And they're going to look at the performance of that property, and you won't be selling each unit off individually, obviously. You have to sell the entire complex together. So overall, I would consider this one a tie because there's good parts to both. And it just comes back to the single family is more high touch, whereas multifamily, you can work with 10, 20 units at a time, depending on however big the apartment complex is. Now, our last comparison here is number 10, the real opportunity. And here's where I think this ties everything together. Right now, there's a massive wave of mom and pop real estate owners who are now aging out of the workforce. They bought the properties 10, 20, sometimes 30 years ago, and they're ready to retire. Their children typically don't want the properties, and they're perfect candidates for owner financing. And this is a part of a phenomenon called the silver tsunami. So where 10,000 baby boomers are turning 65 every day in the US, every single day. Like today, 10,000 people turn 65, tomorrow, 10,000 more, and so on for the next 5+ years. And so it is estimated that $30 trillion of real estate assets will be transferring from the baby boomers to the younger generations over the next few years. So they're often very happy to accept owner financing terms. They like the stream of income and they want to lower their tax burden. They need someone that they can trust to take over these properties and treat their tenants the way they've been treating them. And that's where you come in. You can do this with single family houses or multifamily, but if given the opportunity, why wouldn't you do this with a 6 or 12 or 24 unit apartment complex? Seller financing on multifamily is more available right now than it has been in a long time. And it's much more prevalent than people realize. You don't need a bank to get started. You need the right conversation with the right owner, and you need to know how to present that offer. And so the gap is between what people believe about multifamily and what is actually possible. And that's where the opportunity is in the marketplace right now. So every limiting belief you had walking into this video is just that, it's a belief. It wasn't a fact about the reality of what's going on. I know you're thinking, I don't have enough money, oh my gosh. Well, you don't actually need a bank, you need a seller who wants terms. Oh, it's too complicated, I can't do this. Well, actually, it's simpler than managing 10 houses across 10 different zip codes. Or maybe you think, I need more experience first. Well, you just need one deal and then you'll build your own experience. So if you're ready to take this to the next step, I've built a free community that I've linked below where I walk you through the A to Z of getting started in commercial real estate. I have scripts and toolkits and deal breakdowns and people who have deals that they're trying to sell. So stop collecting single family houses and start building real wealth with multifamily.